Is Donald Trump afraid of the Supreme Court? Have some of the recent Supreme Court rulings sent shockwaves to Donald Trump that his entire agenda can be derailed? I mean, you have the 5-4 decision against Donald Trump when he thought they were going to stop his sentencing. They rejected that. You also have Justice John Roberts' annual report, which seemed to be a warning to Donald Trump that the Supreme Court may try to stop his excesses. Also, this 5-4 holding. You got Justice John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett joining forces with liberal justices. Did that send Donald Trump into a little bit of nervousness over, wait a minute, did I push them too far? I mean, it was a 5-4 decision against Donald Trump, and you had Justice John Roberts, who Donald Trump didn't appoint, George W. Bush did, but Amy Coney Barrett, who Trump did appoint, they joined with the 3 liberal justices and formed a 5-4 majority against the other right-wing justices. And is Trump nervous about that? I mean, look, there was this TikTok ruling on Friday where the court unanimously made a ruling that was against Donald Trump's shifted position. Remember, Donald Trump first wanted to ban TikTok. This whole TikTok ban started with Donald Trump. Trump being transactional, callous, money-oriented, selfish, you pick the word. He's trying to stop TikTok from being banned, or he submitted an amicus brief saying, I'm a deal maker. They ignored him again. They didn't even really talk about his amicus brief during oral argument. They kind of shoot it away. And I think that also sent a message to Trump like, we're the Supreme Court still. We don't care about your negotiating or what you think you're doing. So Trump's put out a few messages now, one after the ruling on his sentencing, another after this TikTok ruling saying, look, this decision was expected. Everyone must respect it. I will review the situation. That's strange language from him. Feels like he's being coached right there a little bit, knowing they're going to read that. So, Harry, you and I previously talked about this potential new 5-4 alignment on certain issues, constitutional excesses. We see Trump posting. What do you make of Trump's shifting language?
So let's see. I mean, I think it's clear he was stung by the sentencing decision. You and I have talked about it, and I was stung that there were 4 votes, including Kavanaugh, when he had nothing, did Trump, to try to stop the music at the very end. So, but it could be that, you know, he had anticipated another sort of Hail Mary pass actually being completed there. The TikTok, you know, I'll just say, even if he was stung, it's hard to know what it means in terms of his behavior. Somebody did tell him in advance, you're dead on in the water to the extent you want the Supreme Court to somehow lawlessly, A, they're going to uphold the ban, and B, it is literally, there's no legal basis to just, a Supreme Court can't come in and say, oh, we'll suspend the Congress's statute for 90 days. They can make it uphold it or strike it down as unconstitutional or put a injunction in place. But this 90 days so the great deal maker can come in, that was never in the cards, and somebody did tell him that. I think this is pretty interesting, though. The second sentence that you just showed up, I need some time to review. He's out of time. There is no time. It will be in effect by when he gets into office on Monday. And he, I think, does believe that he'll somehow, with his consummate deal-making skills, you know, come in and convince China that ByteDance should sell TikTok. There is not, it's a legal basis for him to do it, though. He can't just, he could tell Congress there's a 90-day provision in the statute, Ben, as you know, that if they're in the middle of really selling, there's a suitor that stepped up who's going to buy TikTok, then you can get a 90-day stay of execution, as it were. but he'd have to lie on that. He has no trouble lying generally, but man, just in his first days in office as the president, to a flat out lie to Congress, or he could just try to sort of bully his way and just say, I'm stopping execution, but I don't like his chances there very well either. So maybe he is trying to maneuver with the Supreme Court and say, pretty please, when I do this thing, don't strike me down right away. But he's cruising for a bruising to the extent he thinks now I can come in and just stop things. There is one effort afoot that is potentially could work, which is the Congress. There may be a bipartisan effort to enact this 90-day extension, as it were, because nobody wants TikTok to go away now that they've thought about it. It's funny. Back then, oh, yes, it was serious. And now everyone's thinking, oh, how can we salvage TikTok? And it's 170 million users in the country. But, it's hard for me to think that I think he was stung by the sentencing, but he's not capable really of being sort of nuanced or strategic vis-a-vis the Supreme Court. I'm sure it makes him nervous, and there will be a few times for sure in his tenure where his fate will be in their hands. But I don't see any kind of actual thought through rhetorical shift. I just don't see him, that is sort of being in his quiver.
Harry, you think he's going to appeal the New York sentencing now that it's a final judgment, and that would eventually be taken all the way to the Supreme Court? And I say that because it seems what this is being set up for is kind of the Fitzgerald, Nixon, Clinton, Jones dynamic of Fitzgerald, Nixon set this idea in the civil context of an absolute immunity, but then it was not absolute in Clinton v. Jones, which involved sexual behavior, private behavior outside of the outer limits of civil immunity. Then you had the Blasingame case give another wrinkle to it all in the context of campaigning is not official acts. So, if you and I were to teach a course on civil, we would talk about Fitzgerald and Nixon. We would talk about Clinton v. Jones. We talk about Blasingame. Notice Donald Trump did not appeal Blasingame to the United States Supreme Court because I think he was worried that would set a precedent against him and he would actually lose there. So my question to you is, on this specific case, the New York business fraud criminal case, business records case, seems like it would be outside the bounds. It gives the Supreme Court a chance to rein in the absolute immunity doctrine, kind of in a way I think that Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett would maybe want to do. So does Trump strategically just not appeal it? What do you think? What do you think the strategy is there?
Well, first, let's teach that course sometime. It'll be fun. I think so. So you in mentioning the big cases, there is the infamous OLC memo, because as of Monday, he cannot be prosecuted he can't be prosecuted, period, almost certainly by states as well. So the United States can't appeal, but it seems it hasn't been established, but it seems that he can waive that. You can generally waive immunity. So I do think he has the power to appeal, even though he, while president, couldn't be touched. Will he exercise that power? Yeah, I think so. It's sort of a free, a free try and up through the intermediate New York court, the highest New York court, and the Supreme Court. And he has a couple kinds of arguments he can make about the evidence that was admitted and that trenched on the immunity principle. I don't think he personally cares if he, for future presidents, will there be an asterisk in their broad holding? I just think he thinks about himself, and he's going to take the shot, including at his friendly audience at the U.S. Supreme Court, because he's able to, even if it couldn't go the other way. So my best guess is he will appeal it, and that'll sort of be going on as he is president. It's a little ironic because the whole notion of immunity is, oh, he shouldn't be burdened with these litigation while he's in office, but he's going to burden himself and his lawyers. And I think he'll take a shot. What does he have to lose? And he has a fair bit to gain. I think he is really, really, I mean, after the sentencing came out, he was apoplectic, just smoke coming out of his ears. And he feels, very keenly, I think, that he's got this scarlet letter, and he's the one president who's a felon. I think he will be, especially because he thinks it's all unfair because he won the election and that really decided things. I think he will be in there trying to get it reversed.
Well, we'll keep everybody posted each step of the way. We want to talk about those dynamics. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. But please first check out Harry Litman's YouTube channel, Harry Litman's Substack, and Harry Litman's podcast, all called Talking Feds. It's where I get my legal news from. You just search Talking Feds across all the platforms. Hit subscribe. It is detailed, in depth, and Harry's got unprecedented experience in this area. So, Harry, thanks for all the work you do there.
Thank you, Ben.
Everybody hit subscribe here as well.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 750,000 followers.